Actually, I saw, guys, WillE also made a video about the Classic Plus thing. I haven't watched the WillE video in a while. I kind of want to see like what his thoughts are on it as well. So I'm personally very excited for it. I think the whole hardcore thing is amazing. So far, from what I've heard from people talking about Molten Core and Onyxia's Lair, people are actually excited about it. Like, people are liking the changes. They're liking the abilities and stuff. I haven't done it yet. I haven't tried the raids yet. But from what I hear, people think it's awesome, and they actually do enjoy the changes for the raid.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, WillE here. We have 3 things on the agenda today. Mage boost nerfs are in, Blizzard officially recognizes the hardcore playstyle, and raid changes are going beyond just numbers. Season of Mastery is starting to look more and more like Classic Plus. And it's so important that it does well, because it could pave the way for future servers, which have even more changes than the ones we are seeing here. At this point,
yes, exactly. Like, people are... I had a lot of people tell me as well, like, oh, but just changing a few things in the raids, or like adding that, that's not Classic Plus. No, it's not. But it's what you would do if you would go in that direction. You're like, kind of like, you're dipping your water. You're dipping the toes in the water, right? You're testing the waters to see like what works and what doesn't, and do people like us doing this, right? So they're kind of like, it's a stepping stone towards it, right? And we'll see.
Point in time, the beta is still open, and you can also make template level 60 characters now if you want to. Let's make a start with the Mage boost. They said in the original post they were going to be taking a crack at fixing it. Let's have a look what they have come up with. They say significantly less experience is now awarded to players who kill a creature, while in a group of 1 or more players who are a much higher level than the creature that was slain. Already a pretty solid start to the issue. This alone would have hugely impacted boosting to the point where it would not be worth the effort. However, there is more, which also aims to impact gold farming for the Mage player as well. Adjustments have been made to the following dungeons. In Strat...
Oh, I actually have not seen I have not seen this. But I know a lot of Mage players were like fuming over it. Like, they were like pissed. I saw a bunch of people like on Twitter. Yes, I do use Twitter sometimes, and they were like pissed, man.
All undead creatures now gain an immunity to snare after 30 seconds of combat, gain immunity to roots after a
they were
30
pissed.
seconds of combat.
They were pissed.
The same goes for Mara. On top of that, 30 seconds after immunity to roots, enemies gain 50% increased move speed. Any type of non-root or snare CC will reset these additional...
So you just don't, they just don't get slowed at all. Yeah, they literally just like don't get slowed.
Buffs.
You could probably still do this farm, but it would take a lot more.
Needs around a 1-minute cooldown. Would this break it at all? Just a thought there. And in Zul'Farrak, the zombies now drop less gold, and that's been distributed out to other NPCs in the instance. Pretty interesting stuff. I went over to Mara to see how the change was implemented firsthand, and let me tell you, there's no way you're going to be kiting the entire dungeon from Earthsong Falls. The mobs are going to be getting the 50% move speed bonus long before that, and they really move once they have that buff on. The buffs do not show under the NPCs as being active, though I'm sure a weak horror could be made to show time.
Wait, so they give the mobs like a move speed buff so they can catch you? I mean, you could still do very, very small packs, but it's definitely gonna make it hard to do that. Like, the thing mages are doing is they're literally pulling the entire dungeon. They're putting like 500 mobs and just killing them all at one time, right? That's why it was so efficient. Like, one pull would give you like 4 or 5 bars of XP if you're getting boosted.
Near frames or something, if
it was so OP.
Strats are found to be effective all the same. Here, for example, you can see the mobs running around and they're just going straight through Blizzard and roots. I also pull some fresh mobs to show what they look like with improved Blizzard on them, and yeah, just look at that scope of difference. So this is going to make boosting problematic, though I do remember AoE farms in Sunken Temple hopping up and down a pillar, as well as, of course, Zul'Farrak, which I'm assuming has not been mentioned here because it won't be active at launch and will be addressed in the appropriate patch.
The bridge in Zul'Farrak, where you jump on the bridge, you can jump on the little ledge, like on the bridge, like that, and you can kill like crocodiles and stuff.
Say hello to our new paladin AoE farm overlord, perhaps? At least they will always be getting hit in the face. It's definitely a start all the same, but one that's going to need monitoring because players are really, really good at finding workarounds for stuff like this. One Blizzard needs to keep their eye on, but I like what I'm seeing all the same. But moving on, and possibly the most exciting news for me actually, the community-made hardcore challenge is being...
Yep, I didn't think I would be this excited for hardcore, but I'm genuinely really enjoying it.
Officially recognized by Blizzard. What a great thing to have happened. It reads in the patch notes as High Elf Watchers have made an appearance in Ironforge Library and Undercity Apothecarium, seeking to chronicle those who bear a soul of iron.
Okay, I don't want to pause a lot, but I'm just gonna say, like, I really still wish there was like a hardcore toggle mode, like there is in Diablo and Path of Exile, or some sort of like a, you know, hardcore server. I think that would be the end game, like, crazy goal for hardcore. I think that would be sick. But, you know, if they decide to do that, we'll see. But it does seem like Blizzard is actually putting a lot of time into hardcore, and they actually do support it, right? So yeah, leaderboard is a must. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Like, you know, in Tovello, like in Diablo or like in Path of Exile, you can toggle hardcore, right? Like, imagine if you could do that, or like there was a server where you could just go there and, like, you know, there could be whatever, like stuff like that. I think that'd be sick, right?
Get level 60 from 1. No deaths, no trading, no auction house, no mailbox. Be a self-sufficient character. Why on earth would anybody do this, you might say? The same reason people speedrun. Not just raids in WoW either, but in general, like in ESA or GDQ. They like doing X activity. However, they've done it so many times the standard way that it's gotten repetitive or boring, but they still kind of want to do it, so they seek out their own challenge to spice things up a bit. Obligatory old school RuneScape mention here. In that game, a few players started off very successful series, notably Boaty's One Man Army or Foe's Ultimate Iron Man series, where they played the game as unofficial Iron Man with their own.
It's just cool, man. There's something cool and really awesome about having like one life on your character and trying to see how far you can get. I think it's cool. I like it a lot. I really do like it. It's fun.
Rule set,
I've never played RuneScape, so an Iron Man does not receive items or assistance from other players. They cannot trade, stake, or receive player kill loot, right? Player kill loot, scavenge dropped items, nor play certain multiplayer minigames. In addition, the standard Iron Man rules that Ultimate Iron Man cannot use banks nor retain any items on death in dangerous areas. Okay, so this is like an actual mode. Yeah.
Sufficient accounts, get as far as possible, don't die. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. And Jagex implemented Iron Man mode officially back in 2014, which has now grown to be a widely popular game mode with many divergent game types around it and its different rule sets. The two guys at the forefront of pushing it to be in the game even have their own NPCs on Tutorial Island and in Lumbridge, which is pretty cool. So,
imagine a Guzu. You look into Durotor and you see a Guzu. You know, because I made it all the way and I conquered the challenge. Or you see like a, I don't know, like, you know, a Headcock or like a Marcus or a Super LSD Unicorn or a Tovello or like whatever, right? Like you see a character like that. That'd be cool.
Well, how does our Iron Man mode work in WoW, or Soul of Iron, I suppose? So it's a buff that can be picked up from High Elves in either Ironforge or Undercity. If you die prior to arriving there, you cannot pick up the buff. This buff, or active effect, I guess I should say, it's not a buff, it doesn't give you any buffs as such, shows that you have never known defeat, indicating you are a hardcore character who has never died. You also get a special boy emote, WowE. If you die, you get a Tarnished Soul debuff that reduces all stats by 1%, effectively showing, well, you've died. And it doesn't appear to stack. I tried. When a hardcore character dies, they leave behind a Soul of Iron on the floor. It looks like when you kill a ghost mob in the game. It would be fun to see the name level, perhaps even class of the...
That's cool. You can see where people died. Well, that's kind of cool, I guess.
2 on this. You appear to be able to remove or regain the
like if somebody recently died there,
as you wish from the same NPC that gives it to you. You are also able to trade, receive mail, use the auction house, and group with anybody as a character branded with a Soul of Iron. So it's kind of a bit like the Community Hardcore Challenge, but not really. I think...
Yeah, you can still cheat. Like, you can still get boosted or, like, still do all the things. Like, this doesn't, like, include, like, the no trading and stuff like that. Because, like, the hardcore is like, a community effort, right? It is a community thing. Like, it's made by the community. So that's how it is, right? You can just get, like, max, like, enchanted gear and just, like, farm. But, you know, so it's still, like, not that, right? But that's why, like, there is people in the community, hardcore community, that is making an actual add-on. Like, an add-on that literally, like, imagine, like, it installs like a chip in your brain and it can literally see the screen through your eyes. That add-on will be able to track your eyes on the screen and see if you die or not. And that way, we will have full coverage of you if whether or not you're cheating. It will literally install a chip in your brain so we can tell if you're cheating doing hardcore challenge. So we need everybody to install that before we start playing, right? And that's like the entry, basically. So yeah, that's going to be really, really good, right? Yeah.
First of all, it's cool that there is a proper way that you can...
What happens if you cheat? There's a button for that.
Recognize a hardcore character, but a bit more commitment into it would be nice, because for a lot of people they're going to start at level 1, get a mage port to a starter zone they prefer, and kick off from there, which isn't very Iron Man-y, or receive gold or enchanted items, profession kits, get boosted through dungeons for items or for quests still.
Yeah, you can.
I feel like there's going to be a handful of hardcore guilds that are going to regulate things under the pre-established rule set. I think it makes sense that once you've chosen to be a hardcore character, you cannot remove the brand without a 7-day wait plus authenticator. As in, you need to be
somebody died there.
Absolutely 100% sure that you want to remove it. And once it's gone, that's it. You can't get it back. Yes, this is literally copy-pasting the old school RuneScape system, but I like the commitment of it. I feel as though in WoW, in its current state, removing the ability to group or trade is a bit of a problem that doesn't fit at the moment in the long run. Now, for the hardcore community at the moment, they do have duo and trio runs where you can trade between one another, as well as hardcore dungeons where all characters must be hardcore, as well as in a certain level range, and you can only do each dungeon once. And that works because the challenge within the community is get level 60. If you were just playing an Iron Man post 60, you run into 2 rather large issues. Class capability as a solo player, what I could do on a warlock or a hunter is so much different from a warrior or a paladin, and professions being restricted to 2, meaning you have to drop and retake them a lot. The raid
This is exactly why at level 60 in Road to Rag, trading will be allowed within people. Like, you can trade like people in the hardcore community if they are level 60. You can trade them. You can use the auction house, but you can trade people, you can group up for dungeons and stuff like that. So that is the thing.
Content entirely defeats the point of being a solo player as well, so it feels as though it's kind of off bounds unless your entire raid is hardcore. Essentially, in WoW, not everybody can do everything, and that's a bit of a problem for Iron Man players. Season of give everyone every profession slot, maybe? Also, an Iron Man is a long-term thing. This server is going to last for 12 months, after which we still don't know what will happen. Part of the hardcore community idea is to be somebody that acts in good faith towards the challenge and wanting to take part in that. And I think the community guidelines will fill the gaps here until maybe one day the game fits the format of just Iron Man rather than hardcore a bit better. Also, you're kind of susceptible to griefs on the hardcore from mob aggro from other people, Infernals, Terry the Devourer paying Stormwind a visit. Yeah, there's gonna be some rather tilting deaths, no doubt. All the same, very excited about this.
Imagine running into Stormwind, man, and some fucking guy has kited like one of the green dragons or some shit there, man. Like,
you know, I rather like my leveling, so this has definitely raised the interest levels for Season of Mastery. But
I really like leveling. I think leveling is super fun, and this sort of like makes it even more like enjoyable. I don't know. I'm digging it a lot.
On the bit you're probably most excited about, raid changes. So on the first raid pass on the beta, Blizzard restored the old raid mechanics and slapped
your brain damage. You're gonna get banned soon, so that's what you're gonna get.
100% health buff on Onyxia and all of Molten Core, including the trash. And it was pretty underwhelming. Since then, we have had arguably one of the biggest bits of Classic news ever, to be honest. This is it, folks. If Classic Plus has a real starting point, this is it. This blue post is it. Let's take a look at it. They say, it became obvious quickly that the list of actual changes to most content in Molten Core and Onyxia was extremely short. I think there are about 4 changes total. I thought there wasn't that much, you know. They go on.
They're changing a lot now, though.
To say, we suspected that the total impact of the changes would likely not be meaningfully felt by players in 2021 who have an enormous amount of experience in these raids.
I saw a screenshot of Lucifron, and apparently Lucifron has 4 ads now. And Magmadar apparently spawns, like, he spawns Core Ragers, like the Hounds, during the boss fight. And they res each other if they don't die at the same, like, dude, there's like actual like mechanics to the bosses
we went with that blanket 100% health buff and that handful of restored
I haven't tried it, but that's what I've heard.
As we watched beta testers in game and listened to the reactions to our changes and restorations, it confirmed what we already thought going into this test. Merely raising mob health and restoring a few removed mechanics was not hitting the mark for what we wanted for a season focused on faster progression and more challenging content. As a result, with the next upcoming beta build, we're making some significant adjustments to almost every encounter in Molten Core and Onyxia's lair. Now,
people that I've heard talk about this, they all say they really like it.
That is a big deal. They then say, we don't intend these or any future changes we make to Season of Mastery raid encounters to increase the difficulty of the content to a point where experienced prepared raid groups will have to wipe for days or weeks to progress it. We also don't intend to change the fights so much that they become completely unrecognizable or fundamentally different from their classic versions.
That's fair.
Our intent is to provide something subtle and fresh to go along with Season of Mastery that feels very much in keeping with the spirit of the original encounters. So, significant adjustments but subtle and fresh. This has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think so. As long as they still keep the core like the you know the feeling of like the game, right? That's like very important still. I think so for sure, man. I would definitely say so.
I kind of
like it still needs to feel like molten core and stuff like that, but it needs to like be a little bit more like, you know, like you get a fresh haircut, right? You still look like yourself, but the haircut is a little bit different, a little bit more stylish, right? So maybe that's what we want.
They wouldn't beta test this stuff as much, to be honest. It feels as though we already know everything before we actually get to experience it. All the same, people would absolutely blast their way to level 60 with these XP buffs, and there'd be streams and videos about it on day 2. So you can't really avoid it unless you just avoid all information at all costs. But I do wonder how much people really want harder raids, seeing how SSC and TK is being a bit of a guild killer at the moment. I don't think you can push Classic too much, as it has two things that make it...
It needs to be a fine line between being hard and easy, I think.
Hard to, well, make it hard. There's only one difficulty, and you have to get 40 people to do whatever song and dance a fight requires. So what kind of changes might they do? Well, let's speculate a little bit. I think they might add small core hounds on Magmadar that mimic his abilities and more...
Dude, he literally called it.
...spawn as the fight goes on. Maybe they don't mimic the fear. That
they don't look like that, I think, but he literally called it.
Kind of like the fight in Blackrock Caverns in Cataclysm, if you know the one. Have the Rain of Fires persist for the entire fight on Gehennas, making the encounter space shorter as the fight goes on. On Shazra, instead of just blinking then pressing Arcane Explosion, he now marks 3 people with a 5, 7, and 9 second debuff, which after they wear out, he teleports to each player and does an Arcane Explosion in order. I mean, you've got to sort out some kind of spreading very quickly or 2 Arcane Explosions, and you're probably dead. I've got to make the Incinerator do, you know, a bit more incinerating rather than just meleeing the tank, and so on. That's the kind of things I expect. Some update.
Dude, that's going to be fun to try, man. I think it's going to be really fun, man. I don't know. I'm hyped for this. We're going to see like how far we can get and stuff like that, obviously, when we do it, but... I think that's going to be big fun.
And the current abilities, rather than overhauls to where the fights aren't even remotely similar. This has potential, it really does. Very exciting times, and personally, I am more interested in Season of Mastery than I was prior. However, I've got to say it, surely Season of Mastery will set the standard for raids moving forwards in future seasons, assuming this is well received. Going back on updating raids in the future would be like bringing spell batching back in for Classic again. Nobody wants that. I'm sure there'll be a season of we're going to change classes a lot eventually. Debuffs being removed does this a little bit, but... I think they're testing the waters with this. They're seeing like what the response is and if people like it. And if people do like it, then maybe for like the next season they could like change it even more, or like... I don't know, we'll see what they do, right? We'll see. There could be a full balanced season of Discovery at some point in the future. Raids are going to be more difficult, so it may actually enforce the melee meta even more so, and push out the less viable classes. I think it'd be very nice if we give them more of a chance to actually be able to play their character, even if they still obviously aren't going to be anywhere. Yeah, if you look at any like World of Warcraft like classic WoW raids, it's literally 25 warriors, a few healers, and some tanks. That's it, okay? And that's not that much more variety, let's be honest. Okay, it's like... That's it. Meters. Overall, though, very happy with the direction. And the tanks are warriors too. And the tanks are warriors too with dual wielding weapons. They're not even having a shield. They're literally dual wielding. They're like basically like a glorified Fury Warrior with a little bit more armor. That's it. Wise, that's going to be interesting to check out. I'll definitely keep up to date on that. This is it though. This is pretty much your Classic plus content. Go for it, Blizzard. Let's see what you have. Yeah, I agree. As always, let me know your thoughts on everything we've gone over and whether this has changed your mind towards Season of Mastery at all. And I'm excited. Thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I shall see you in the next one very soon. Oh, there it is. I am excited. I'm gonna link the video here in the chat if you guys want to give it a little watch. Give him a little like on the video as well. I would appreciate that. But yeah, I'm actually hyped for it. I think it's gonna be fun. And it seems like a lot of the people that I've talked to as well, like, seems to be pretty excited for it as well. Like, genuinely, like, seriously.
So we'll see. Obviously, there are some people that just hate, you know, classic WoW or WoW in general now and just don't want to play it at all. That's fair enough as well. It's not for everybody, I guess, but I'm down to try this out, and I'm trying to see what it's all gonna be about, right?